Hey everybody, it's French Bread Builds, and I'm finally back with the review of the RODAMS GP03. And it's been a long time coming, I know. I set out to start building this kit about 2 months ago, and it's been done for about a month, but I wanted to make sure that I had enough time cut out from my busy schedule to actually sit down and film the video that I wanted to film. But before I even get into this, I just want to give a quick shout out to this video's sponsor, GundamModelCenter.com. It's where I got this kit and pretty much all of my third-party Gundam and non-Gundam mecha, straight out of China kits. They are by far the best priced and the best value you can get in the game. I know specifically for this kit, other sellers were selling them for upwards of $350 before shipping, while Gundam Model Center, when I bought it, $380 shipped to your door, and if you wanted express shipping, you could have paid a little bit extra and it probably would have gotten to you in a matter of 3 to 4 days. So in order to get more stuff like this from Gundam Model Center, we got to show our support. They're a little bit weary about picking up some of these higher priced items, and the more we show them that we want them, the more they'll carry them, and the bigger the selection they'll get. So shout out to GundamModelCenter.com. If you ever need anything third party, those metal build conversion kits and things like that, GundamModelCenter.com is the place you want to be. So with all that out of the way, let's get into the actual review. So this GP03 is made by RODAMS, a new company that is not Mechanicore. I want to repeat, it is not Mechanicore. Similar kit, but it's not Mechanicore. I have plenty of Mechanicore kits, and I've built a few of them, or at least started a few of them, and the build dynamics are very different between this kit and those. Similar approaches to some things, but definitely not the same. But I just wanted to get that out there. It's not a Mechanicore kit for anyone that doesn't know. But yes, so the kit is about 1/72 scale, and that comes in at about 11 inches. So it's a decent sized kit. It's smaller than a perfect grade, but it's larger than master grade. The proportions are actually slimmer than perfect grade proportions too, which tend to be a little bit bulkier. So if your plan is to kind of display it next to a perfect grade GP01, they'll clash a little bit. But if you have other kits in 1/72 scale like Mechanicore GP02 or the GP04 that they just announced, which is coming out soon, that will go more in line with those than Bandai's perfect grade kits. But probably some of the best features about this kit comes with its just crazy detail. It has got over 1,200 parts, which is, that's huge. That's a lot. That means a lot of part separation, and it means a lot of color separation. But not only does it have a ton of parts that you can see the detail right here, there are tons and tons of LEDs on here. There's an LED in the torso, there's an LED in the head, there's LEDs in the knees and legs, and in the thrusters in the back. And one thing that I want to point out is that every single thruster bell on this kit has an LED, right? Every single one. So when it's dark and it's lit up, every single one of those thruster bells is bright and it's shining, which is absolutely fantastic. But not only that, it does have metal parts. It comes with a full sheet of photo etch and water slide decals that I showed you in the unboxing video. I haven't added any of the water slide decals or any of the photo etch to this right now because I'm going to be disassembling this for paint, like I mentioned before. So you'll see some gaps here and there, and no panel lining or anything like that. This is just the kit, bare bones, not dressed up or anything. This is just a straight build. So let's get into articulation for a little bit. Unfortunately, I'm not going to demonstrate it on camera because the state of my kit right now is barely being held together, because like I said, I use minimal glue to get this together so that I could take it apart later. But the articulation is pretty basic. arm swing, shoulder pivots, knee bends, those kind of things. But there are some other articulated points that I wanted to talk about. That's non-standard. This kit actually has some of the best posable manipulators that I've ever put together for any kit. Most posable manipulators are full of mold errors, fingers not wanting to stay in, and just tons of issues. These do really, really, really well. You will get the occasional finger to pop off, but they hold their poses, they do what they're supposed to do. Thankfully, they're not required to hold any weight because there's a substantial peg in the palm that holds the beam rifle and the swords perfectly. So that's good. The kit also has posable sub arms on the back of each forearm, and you know, that's just a normal part of the GP03 design. And I'll be honest, out of box, it's very, 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 very finicky. Moving it will usually cause it to come apart. When I put it together for the final time after painting it, I'm probably gonna have to modify some of it, probably by inserting some metal rods where the joints are, so that when I do bend, it doesn't just splay apart. The arms and the legs all have posable, movable metal pistons, which is great. It gives that, you know, that kind of real effect to the kit. On the backpack, there are also opening and closing storage pods. I don't know much about the GP03 lore, but they give you storage pods at the top of the backpack so that you can store the beam rifles, pull them out. Another thing that's kind of finicky with the kit as is, but I'm positive with glue and some paint, you know, causing more friction, it'll hold together a lot better than it does right now. Outside of the kit itself, it does have a few accessories as well. It has this USB powered light up base that you wire and you construct yourself. Mine actually isn't fully 100% completed outside of what's required to be functional. There's a lot of small pieces that are supposed to represent wiring and piping that definitely need glue to be able to stay together, but nice touches nonetheless. It comes with a shield that isn't retractable, unfortunately, but it has tons of detail and it looks really good. 2 beam sabers and a battery powered beam rifle that is not connected to the wiring of the kit itself. It requires 3 batteries to power it, and it's got 3 LEDs on it, and it almost doesn't look as detailed as the rest of the kit does, but I still think it fits pretty well with the kit. But when everything is loaded up and lights are all on, this thing is it's a presentation piece. It really, really, really looks good. Even if it's not in some fancy dynamic pose, when all the lights are on the base and on the suit itself, the beam rifle's lit up, it all makes the 35 hours that I put into this kit well worth it. But as much as I praise this kit, the build wasn't exactly a cakewalk. The large part count does add a lot of part separation and color separation, but with that comes some weird design choices. It's hard to describe, but there are just a ton of pieces that should have just been one piece that ended up being 5 or 6, and even weirder than that, like one piece wouldn't fit perfectly unless those 5 or 6 other pieces were sandwiched and present. So that's where the instructions might not call for glue there, but you're pretty much going to need glue to be able to hold things in place. But I didn't experience too many fitting issues. There were some of those where you kind of had to use both hands and even a foot to try and get everything held together to, and then sandwich an armor piece on top, which kind of held everything together. But I would say probably the most difficult part of the build was the wiring. And I don't want to scare anybody away from it because of it, but the wiring in this kit, at first I would think that, like, wow, this wiring is terrible. It's a cluster F. It's got, you know, lights here, there, and whatever. But as I built the kit, I kind of understood why they did it the way they did, sort of. The issue is that the wires need to be able to somewhat be free moving within the joints because the kit does have some articulation, and if it's not, then you risk snapping the wire when you're moving the kit. But the problem is that the wires for this kit are incredibly thin, and they have this nasty habit of getting snagged in between pieces when you're building it. So you might be building the kit and everything feels like it's going right. You've got the wires and everything inside the part, and then next thing you know, you've got a torn wire and your LED isn't working. So that is probably one of the things that happened to me that was most frustrating. But luckily, they do include a wire testing port on the back of the stand for the GP03. So what I suggest is, while you're working with the wires, always test the LED to make sure it still works. In the instructions, building the base comes first anyway, so it can be used as a tool there. But make sure that you're always testing the wires, because it is a massive pain to build up a huge section of the kit itself, only to realize that you have to take it apart to repair the wire that just snapped because it got snagged in between a piece. But when everything is situated just right, it makes sense why the wires are so thin, because now once everything is situated, you can actually like bend the arms or bend the legs and not have to worry about the wire snapping or getting snagged or anything like that. They move pretty freely because they're so thin. With all that said, there are a few things that I would suggest that you get so that you can navigate this build a lot better and a lot easier. Some of these might not necessarily be common tools that you have on your bench, but I would highly recommend that you get them so that when you're building this, you can tackle any issue that comes with you. The first thing that I would suggest is Loctite super glue, but not just regular, super glue, the extra time control super glue. The reason why I really like this is, one, it is a gel application kind of super glue, which actually has an extended working time. And what that means is that you can put a little bit here, put a little bit there, and you can reposition things as you're working so that it doesn't just set automatically. It doesn't have that white residue that regular super glue uses. So this is probably what saved my life while building this kit. Another thing that you're definitely gonna have to get is a soldering iron. I know that this may seem like, something out of the realm of basic model kit building, and it might be, but you are almost guaranteed gonna snap the wire. I haven't discussed this kit with anybody who's built it that said they didn't snap a wire. I did maybe 4 or 5 times, and I actually ended up getting a new soldering iron because the one that I had was pretty crappy. But a decent soldering iron, a quick, 5-10 minute YouTube tutorial will give you all the experience and information you're gonna need to solder, at least solder to the extent that you would need for this kit. I snapped a few wires in the legs, I snapped some wires in the torso, and I actually broke the USB port on the base itself. And I needed soldering to fix all of that. Like I said, I know it's intimidating, but it's pretty much necessary if you want to maintain the lighting functionality of the kit. And it looks so good lit up. I would almost price that into the budget of the kit, because it is so worth it just to see it lit up at the end. After that, these are a little bit more basic. I would say you would need some chisel and filing tools, stuff that you can spot treat fitting issues here and there. Nothing too crazy. You should already have this at your workbench if you're dealing with nut marks and things like that. So those are the 3 things that I would say that you would need to make this build a hell of a lot easier. I will leave links to everything that I used in the description. With these tools and some patience, any challenge that you might face with this kit will probably not be that big of a deal. And I'm always here to help. Use me as a resource. Find me on Instagram or Facebook or whatever. Drop me a comment in this video and I will see if I can walk you through the issue that you might have at the time. Well, folks, that's pretty much it for the review. And if you're gonna ask me, do I recommend this kit? I'm gonna say yes, with an asterisk. This kit is almost explicitly designed for intermediate to, now I'm gonna say, leave it at that, intermediate builders. Someone who has a couple of snap builds under their kit, preferably someone who has worked with third-party kits before, who knows the kind of issues that third-party kits can have. Thankfully, on this kit, the plastic is fantastic, so you're not dealing with parts breaking or anything like that, but with such a high part count, you're not going to find the precision that Bandai has. But with a little bit of intuitiveness and a little bit of some creative thinking, you can I can almost guarantee that you'll be able to handle any issue that might come up. It's worth it. It looks really, really, really good. I can't tell you enough how great it looks, and even with the lights on, the LEDs really sell the kit for me. It's just fantastic. This is the first kit of this kind that I've actually completed, and I've got to say, I have not been turned away from this. I'm going to build more of them. I'm really looking forward to the kits that RODAMS has in store. You know, obviously they're going to release that massive Orchid unit that's supposed to be something along the lines of 5 feet, something crazy like that. And the GP04, or what they're calling the Boxer, is also being released, and I've seen some planned drawings and CAD files of it so far, and it looks fantastic. I'm definitely gonna go for that. All in all, it gets a thumbs up from me. It does have issues. You do need some more than average tools to fix them, and you will definitely be working on this for, you know, a good chunk of time. It took me 35 hours, and I consider myself intermediate to maybe a little bit advanced when it comes to dealing with issues like this. It's worth the money, and if you're someone who enjoys the building process, you will absolutely enjoy this. So if you want one for yourself, head over to GundamModelCenter.com. In the past, they've had the clear version, they've had this version over here, and they've had the orange prototype colors. So there are options that you can get, and I'd say get on it, guys. It's a great kit. I don't know how much longer they're going to be printing it, but grab it while you can. It's worth it. And that's the review, guys. I hope that I can start getting some more content out. I say this at the end of every video, but it really is just a one-man team here. It's tough to build the stuff that I like to build for pleasure, but I also have to film and edit these, and I'm also trying to make every video that I put out better than the last. So as I get better at this stuff, I will be putting out more content while I develop a system, that I can kind of just plug and play. I'll hopefully be able to get more videos out more frequently. So, but that's it, guys. Have a happy holiday, and I will see you guys in the next one.